Hello, this is Alex, welcome to Boomstick Gaming, and my advanced tips for all the fledgling and adept warriors out there in Wolcen, Lords of Mayhem. While not technically called a warrior class in the game, this will focus primarily on melee-centric characters who enjoy getting right up close and personal during combat. This will not be a straight-on build guide style video that will tell you exactly how to play your class, and instead, the following special techniques, skill combinations, and synergy recommendations are to be taken more like suggestions or sparks of ideas, just to make your time as a warrior a little more fun all around. Although these still might turn you into a brutal killing machine, I hope everyone watching puts their own unique spin on everything I have in store for you in this, since I find that to be more interesting than simply just running a build meta. Now, enough of this slightly convoluted intro, let's get into the real reason you're here, the cool mechanics powering the melee warrior class in Wolcen, Lords of Mayhem. Starting off with one of my favorite abilities in the entire game, presenting the incredibly potent, slightly more nuanced than you might expect, Flight of GAAVANIR. This allows you to send out a spinning hammer in front of you, which can be recalled before it flies out of range to inflict a double tick of damage. I prefer splitting out the damage output among numerous hammers thanks to a few key upgrades that allow for multiples to be launched out. To do this, first off you'll need the Stones Casting Shadows skill modifier that doubles up the effect, followed by Archeon's Teaching over in the Ranger section of the Gate of Fate's passive skill tree, which adds yet another hammer. Although both of these will lessen the outgoing damage of each independent hammer, since this ability can be recalled and hit the same enemy numerous times with multiple hammers, this trade-off is well worth it, especially once you figure out that you can adjust the spread of the throwing trajectory. To adjust your throw on the split version of Flight of GAAVANIR, you can cast it with your mouse directly in front of you to send it out in a wide area of effect, or you can aim it at the furthest point on your screen edges to tighten its pattern. This really opens up the flexibility of the skill, and you can turn it into a narrow hallway sweeping or 6 times hitting boss focus attack, or do the opposite and turn it into a wide arcing Thor envious room clearing cone of death. The fun with these hammers is not quite over yet, and there's even a way to greatly extend the range of the skill. The hammers will normally dissipate, not allowing you to recall them soon after leaving the boundaries of the screen, which will then kick them back into cooldown. However, if you're a fast character or have some advanced movement capabilities, which I will be coming back to, you can greatly extend the flight range of this by simply keeping the hammers within a certain distance of yourself. This not only allows you to clear a huge path in front of you, I recommend tightening the hammer pattern for this one, but also it can even be recalled at the very end of it, far after the normal window to do so. Now that was a lot of talk about just one skill, and it's pretty fun once you combine all these together, but you'll need some rage to power this ability and likely your others, which takes us into the important next section. Rage is a vital resource to many of the melee-focused abilities, and if your build does not use any of the mana-style willpower resource, there are a few passives in the Gate of Fates that I consider to be must-haves for all warriors. First off is the skill Furious Appetite towards the outer rim of the Child of Fury tree. This will turn your passive willpower regeneration that you'll likely not even be using if you're avoiding spells, into constant rage regeneration instead. Although rage is fairly easy to gain while in combat, you might want to be able to start out encounters with your biggest damage dealers, which is where the partner skill Frenzied Blows right next to it comes into play. This will double the rage cost of any skill you cast while your rage is above 750, which will empower that skill to deal double damage. This can be immensely powerful in its own right, but will likely quickly suck the majority of your rage at the start of battle. Over in the Warlock side of the skill tree, however, there is Duty to Exterminate and its partner skills that will expand your overall rage capacity, and since our double damage modifier applies to anything over 750 instead of a percentage of your max rage, this can really allow for better management of this gauge and more DPS. My warrior build is quite rage dependent, and I found these important upgrades to change my entire approach to combat. Something you can try instead of spending your stamina to do a traditional dodge is to turn the skill Wings of ISHMIR into a more controllable evading, damage dealing, and rage generating alternate way to spend those precious stamina points. To do this, first off, the skill modifier Relentless Pursuit will remove the active cooldown of this ability, but will now require a tick of your stamina to fire off. This alone allows you to chain together multiple uses of the skill to move around quickly, which also ties back into that extending Flight of GAAVANIR trick I showed off earlier. Wings of ISHMIR is already a pretty good skill all around, but it provides even more utility over traditional dodging once we start adding a few more modifiers to it. Berserker's Onslaught will allow you to gain a little rage each time you use this, which is a nice bonus. Light speed is not entirely necessary since the skill is already pretty quick, but I like using it anyways. And then Rippling Impact, which will turn this into a fairly large hitting AoE attack as well, which, like I just mentioned, further improves the benefit of consuming a stamina point to use this over standard dodging. If you find yourself struggling with running out of stamina too quickly while doing this, there are passive nodes in the Gate of Fates that will allow you to expand your overall stamina capacity, and there is also a modifier skill for Sovereign Shout, which allows you to gain back some stamina each time it's cast, which is a great free rage booster as well. It might take some time to unlearn your muscle memory of smashing out that spacebar to dodge, but with a little practice, you might actually prefer using Wings of ISHMIR instead. This is probably my second favorite ability for a warrior, and although it's mostly a hands-off type skill, it's hard to deny just how incredibly powerful it can be. The Bleeding Edge skill, when combined with the following modifiers, has ludicrous damage potential. First off, Unstoppable Momentum, which allows for the spinning blade to rotate in place and extends its overall duration. Astral Orbit, which allows it to spin around you as you move, which also extends the duration. And finally Wicked Swing, which increases the area effect of the blade. Combining all of these, along with the previously mentioned Frenzied Blows passive from the Gate of Fates, which doubles your attack power from expending your rage, all make Bleeding Edge all the more potent. Although you can fire off other skills and still attack while these spinning blades are active, just leisurely walking with these around you will likely decimate groups of enemies, and they are also quite effective at taking down bosses as well, making for one of the strongest abilities in the warrior's toolkit. There is honestly not a gigantic pool of different abilities if you're going the big two-handed weapon route like I am, but something to consider if you really want to expand how many active skills you can have at your disposal is to dual wield with any of the different classes' weapons like daggers, pistols, or catalysts, which will allow you to use skills grouped from each of their sections. If you have neglected leveling up some of these alternate abilities like I did, just slap the lower level ones onto your skill bar, you don't even have to use them, and go fight some stuff in the highest level region you possibly can. The experience you gain from kills will directly funnel into these skills and level them up at an exponential rate, allowing you to get your build up to speed if you switch over to dual wielding. Those are all the little tips and tricks I had for all the warrior bros and gals out there, and all of what I explained is definitely open to your own ingenuity, and I hope you have some fun tweaking all of this to your playstyle. Make sure to let me know what your favorite warrior combos are, and if you're playing a spellcaster or ranger style build, sorry this wasn't terribly useful for you, but also let me know what cool stuff you have figured out in your end of the skill tree. Server issues aside, I would be playing offline anyways. The overall quality of Wolcen has really surprised me since I never touched it in early access, and although it is a PC title and this doesn't necessarily apply, it's the first action RPG I played in some time that has that air of next gen. The fluidity of the combat system, the amazing technical presentation and lighting, along with the endgame city building endless dungeon romp progression, really made this stand out in the sea of Diablo imitators from the last decade or so. Those are just my brief thoughts on it, maybe yours differ, but regardless, I'm really enjoying my time with Wolcen. Now, to close this one out, if you happen to enjoy this style of informative gaming content with a focus on mechanical depth and gameplay systems, consider subscribing to Boomstick Gaming for more, pressing that little bell icon to get notified on my new videos, and you can also find me on Twitter at BoomstickAlex. Lastly, a special mention to the top supporting YouTube members and patrons you're seeing on screen, who go a long way in perpetuating the future of this individually owned and operated channel. As always, this has been Alex from Boomstick Gaming, and thanks for watching.